Hey, this is Derek with Cafe Realty. Today, I want to talk about raising capital for real estate investing and more specifically, talk about my journey in raising capital for real estate investing, which originally started off with bank financing. And today, I work with a myriad of private lenders who basically fund me through their self directed IRAs or just business checking or their checking or savings accounts, and how I went from the traditional bank financing to the private money lending. So for me, my journey got started in 2015. I bought my first property, which was a duplex with a VA home loan. I myself am a medically retired Army veteran. And so I used the VA home loan with 0% down to get into my first property. That first property I had, because it was 0% down, I was in the process. I was a very, well, I still am very frugal, but I was extremely more frugal back in those days. And so I had probably somewhere around like 22,000 saved up when I had purchased my first property. And then I think three or so thousand, 4,000 went to closing costs with that first duplex. And so I had around 18,000, I believe, 17, 18,000 that was left over. And so almost immediately, probably a month or two after I bought the first property, I started to look for my second property. And that second property I purchased around 10 months to 11 months later, 5 minutes away from my first property. And I purchased that second property with conventional loan financing. And with that purchase, I had to put down 20%. So that was a majority of the money that I had saved up from the first purchase. And but I was saving additional money between that 10 months because my monthly living expense went from $800 to a dollar and like 15 or 51 cent. And that almost $800 that I was saving a month, I was also putting that into adding that to that pile of cash that was primarily for acquiring assets. First property, VA home loan, second property, conventional financing. From there, I've had the pleasure of using both DSCR loans and private money. At first, it was almost a transition for me. So first start off with the traditional bank financing, and then I went into the DSCR loans. And DSCR loans are debt service coverage ratio loans, also known as renter loans or rental loans. So a DSCR might have a ratio of 1.25. And what that means is basically for every dollar of your mortgage payment, you need to make $1.25 in rent. So if your mortgage payment is $1,000, basically you need to earn $1,250 in rent to cover that loan. So that was my basically like my middle ground between traditional bank financing and eventually private money lending. And so during this time period, I was also like, after I had bought the first property, like maybe 5, 6 months later, I had joined local real estate investing groups, also known as RIAs across the country, or real estate investment associations or alliances. So the first one I joined was the Atlanta RIA here locally, and then probably a couple of years later, I joined the Georgia RIA. Now, the Georgia RIA is where a lot of the where I've gotten probably the most value for my buck as far as a lot of things in my a lot of things in my real estate investing career were the results of just that being a member of Georgia RIA. And I'll talk about that on other videos. But DSCR loans were the middle ground between me going from traditional bank financing to the private money lending. And what DSCR loans, it's not based off of your personal income, it's based off of the rental income for the property that you're looking to purchase. And so I had used DSCR loans for several properties. Oh, a couple of qualifications for DSCR loans. One is you're typically gonna need a high credit score to begin with. I think like 720 plus. I don't know what the qualifications are today, but I know typically you're going to be like 700, 720 plus to qualify for a DSCR loan. You are going to need to put down 20 to 25% of the purchase price for the property. So that is a consideration that you have to factor in. And other than that, you don't need tax returns. You don't need to show tax returns on DSCR loans. So typically, you're going to be someone with higher credit. You're going to have the money to put down the 20 to 25% to make as a down payment. And then that third thing that I just said that I now forgot, what did I say? So I said you're going to need high credit, you're going to need 25% down. Oh, and yes, the rental income has to cover the mortgage payment debt. Typically, they're going to look for 1.25 is probably standard, but it could be anywhere from 1.1 in some rare cases, 1.5, 1.2. And once again, just to clarify, that is like for if you have for every dollar of your mortgage payment, you need to make $1.10 if it's 1.1, or if it's 1.15, then it's you have to make $1.15 for every dollar of your mortgage payment. And then once again, no tax returns are required for those types of loans. So that was my middle ground. Now in 2019 is when I used my first private money lender. And the way I met this private money lender is through Georgia RIA. So they have local groups that go out and do rehab. So with one of those DSCR loan properties, I was doing a rehab on the properties that I bought, and they were looking for people to host a group. And so what I did was I hosted one of the groups. And the person who was running the group at the time, they were or still runs the group. He was a hard money lender or a private money lender. And he was just saying, hey, if anybody has any good deals or they're looking for financing, he gives loans. And so I showed them the properties that I was working on, and they got to see my renovation quality and just hear about me and my story and things of that nature. And I had two houses that I was renovating. So they were able to see both houses and come back multiple times to see the progress of these houses. And so eventually I had ran into another deal, an off market deal, direct to seller. And with this, I needed financing, and it was a small amount. It was like $50,000 for two houses. And with those two houses, I was like, I'm probably not going to get somebody traditionally to give me 50,000 or 20. Really, it was $25,000 a piece for these houses. And so I remembered the guy who was saying, "Hey, I provide financing." So what I did was I reached back out to him and said, "Hey, this is Derek, and you had did a tour of my property, and you said you were a hard money lender. I have a deal." So I presented the deal to him at the $25,000 of, I'm sorry, yeah, $25,000 a piece for each property. It was almost just a no brainer to fund it, because even at the 25,000, there was probably like, I don't know, $35,000 worth of equity in each property, if not more. But we'll just say conservatively, it's like $30,000 worth of equity in each property. And they went ahead and funded it. And so the terms were initially 12% interest only, a 1 year term. And I was in our particular arrangement, the private money lender actually paid for 100% of the purchase price. So I didn't come out of my pocket anything to acquire those properties. Now, I was responsible for providing the renovation budget and getting the renovations done, but I didn't have to come out of pocket there was no origination points. There was no origination points, and it was 100% financing for the property. And then, like I said, it was 12% interest only payments for a year. Now, anybody who knows traditional financing, the idea that you do not pay any origination points, or that you didn't put any have to I didn't have to put anything down, would sound crazy to you, but that's the world of private money lending. It's the terms are very flexible compared to other more traditional bank financing. So that was my first time doing hard private money lending. And with that, what can I say? What allowed me to do that? One is I built the relationships ahead of time because even though me and the private money lender had walked through my properties previously, we had met each other at other events. Like I had been a member of Atlanta and Georgia RIA for a good number of years, and he was with the Georgia RIA, or he is with Georgia RIA, and we had interacted at different groups ahead of time. So I was somebody who was consistently around. I was someone constantly telling about what I'm doing in real estate space. And so people got to know me. They got to know my story. They got to understand my character. Who I was. I somebody who was going to run off with their money? Was I someone who didn't sound intelligent, or someone who didn't seem like was a good steward of money to begin with? And so being in these groups and being in these spaces, these relationships, you could be building relationships that will pay off dividends in the future. But it's just showing up initially and making those introductions to people. So that was the first time buying using a private money lender. And then I used a private money lender from there. That's all it's been. So my next time doing it was with the same lender, and that was for a property next door. So I did an assemblage of properties in downtown Austell, which is my what I'm looking to do, a mixed use development in downtown Austell to make the place really cool, make it really vibrant. I really want to enliven the downtown of Austell, and acquired some land to make that happen. And this was part of that. But the financing for this was provided by a partially through a DSCR loan for some of the properties, and then part of the assemblage was through DSCR loans, and then part of it was through private money lenders. But one of the things I would say when working with private money lenders is, first of all, always make sure your private money lenders get paid. It is for if you're expecting to be in this business or grow in this business, like reputation is everything. And so you want to make sure that these people are taken care of and well taken care of, because what had happened with me is my hard money lender extended out. So we went from working together for a year initially to now we've been working together for 4 or 5 years. But that's because they've never had to chase down a payment from me. They've never had to worry about I'm not communicating with them or not letting them know what's going on with things. You just have That's what I'm talking about when it comes to character. And the thing about that is that having good character in this space, because real estate investing, whether like I'm in the Atlanta metro, but it's a small space. Like Atlanta as a metro is a large metro. I think almost we're heading towards 7 million people total in the Atlanta metro. But the real estate space is very small. And there's always a couple of degrees of separation between you and everybody else. And so you want your reputation to precede itself in a good way, because Atlanta is full of scammers, white and black. And to be someone of outstanding character is basically just writing your ticket here in the real estate space, and vice versa. Being a scammer is also something that could stop your career short. Once people get the idea that you're someone who can't be trusted, someone who's bad with money. I'm not saying that because scammers are very good at scamming, and they typically can get a couple of licks before people cut them off for good. But uh, what do they say? It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and one decision to destroy it all. So just make sure you're a good financial steward and that you're constantly, I say for me, I have a healthy fear of financial ruin. So I am always living, yeah, I'm typically always living below my means. And I know because I'm thinking of the earlier Derek when I first started, and that Derek was highly more frugal than the Derek is today. But I'm still a very frugal person. drive two cars that are paid off, or two vehicles that are paid off, my truck and my car. And I do not plan to buy a new one until it doesn't make any financial sense to fix up the car that I have. But I do that because when times are great, it's good. You could have a nice store of cash in the bank account to take care of things. But things change over time. Things change, and sometimes a deal might not work out, and that lender, they trusted you. You still have to pay them, and so because you have to pay them, you want to make sure that you're in a position to always take care of them and always keep them in a good position. And so today I have it where just recently a buddy of mine from a real estate group that I'm a part of came up to me afterwards, after our group, and said, "Hey," because I had a wholesale deal that I was announcing to the group. And then he said to me, "Hey, would you like to buy that property?" And I'm like, "No, I need the money for pre-development costs for this mixed use development that I'm working on." And he was like, "Oh, the reason I'm asking you is because I have 100,000 that I lend to you, or if you have any projects available." And I offer you very favorable terms. And so to have someone to come up to me and to be like, "Hey, I want to lend you money for your deals because of the relationship we've built over time, the fact that they know I'm in the like I'm a outstanding person. And plus, one of the things I've had is my private money lenders have actually talked to other people about me, like, hey, here's Derek. I trust him and like him. You should trust him and like him too." So my private money lender has actually talked to other lenders about funding my development deal. So I have a myriad of people who've looked to me to, "Hey, whenever you do this, I want to invest in you." And that's what it comes down to. It's like people are investing in the deal, but they're primarily investing in you as a person, your reputation, who you are. And so that is something that is valuable and something that could get you terms that some people wouldn't even believe is possible. Like, how are you able to borrow this money for and get this hell of a deal? No origination points, or no monthly payments in some cases, if like in fix and flips. I know a buddy of mine who gets the money up front, 100% of everything up front from his investors, pays no monthly interest payments. Everything is just done once he delivers on whatever he's doing, which is typically a nowadays is more fix and flips or spec home builds. And so with that, once you build that reputation, that is the way you can wind up to get into deals with quote unquote no money down. But that's all based on a track record. And that track record is something that you have to build over time. Many people want to kind of skip forward with things and they just want to just have it now. Okay. Because you hear the people talking about, oh, get into real estate with no money down and low to no money down. And I'm not saying that it's not possible, but what I'm saying is there's the people who are doing that, like me right now. I could get into some deals like with no money down. All I have to do is just find a hell of a deal. But people will trust me with that because I have a track record of delivering. And at this point, I'm a real estate broker and I'm a licensed general contractor. So I have both sides of the game locked down. So because with deals, there's two kind of major factors to making almost any or residential or commercial deal wind up good, and that is buying it right off top, which is where the real estate broker side comes in, and then the contractor. Your contractor can make or break you. And so, with me being a licensed general contractor, basically it's two ways to mitigate risk for my lenders, for my private money lenders. And yeah, that's how I went from starting off in traditional bank financing to today working with private money lenders. And I will hopefully aim for more and more as my projects get larger. I'm really hoping to get this mixed use development entitled this year. That is my hope. Sale, we really need it here. We just need to create a more walkable, vibrant downtown. That's why I moved into downtown Austell about 5 years ago, or no, actually 6 years, no, five 5 years ago, because it was around the pandemic. Moved into downtown Austell because I saw a need for just somebody to look to the downtown for not what it is today, but what it can be in the future. And I saw just this great place. So bought some properties and looking to move forward with that. And with this development, it would potentially be a $10 million plus development in our downtown. And so I private capital or just raising capital is a big portion of being able to do these larger deals. But I want to point out that in 2015, it was just as simple as a duplex. Purchasing my first house, which was a duplex, and then over time developing the knowledge and the skill sets and the relationships that allow you to do larger and larger deals and just executing, but taking it step by step. So don't rush it. Don't try to go from 0 to 60 in a day. No matter what any internet guru says, it just takes time. You need to learn. You need to make mistakes. You need to build your confidence. You need to build your knowledge base, build your skill set. And like I said, pretty soon you could have an unlimited amount of money because people will invest in you because it's not about the deal. It's just that they know that you are a person who can deliver. And so just get out there, deliver on some deals, make sure your lenders are always paid, be open in communication with your lenders. And even when you mess up, people recognize that think there's just times when it's just going to happen. That's just the reality of it. But if you're open, if you're honest with it, even when that happens, people will still go with you because you're authentic, even in the hard times. So that's all I got to say. Once again, this is Derek with Cafe Realty. I'm also principal of Code Black Properties, our vertically integrated real estate investment and development firm, which Cafe Realty is a subsidiary of. And I'm also the owner of Code Black Construction, our construction and renovation division. And yeah, I will see you on the next video. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.